It's thinking.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that.
Good morning. First of all, I am exhausted. But second of all, as I was clicking that to go live, remember, and I was like, well, I think it is, right? Like it's going slow. I realized like I am very, what's the word I want? Like I want immediate gratification on certain things.
Right.
So like the last time we were in Rochester, Minnesota, we have family there. And we were going to order something off Amazon. And I realized I live in a very privileged place in the US because I could still get everything overnight. And in some cases, I can get things same day. There, it takes 48 hours. It's a 2-day delivery thing. And I'm just sitting here like, I'll run to Walmart instead of wait for 2 days. Like, it's so bad, right? It's so bad. And that's what just happened with the thing. I'm like, why is it not clicking quicker? So, how has your day been?
It's good. I got new glasses.
You did, yes. A couple days ago, right?
Yeah, I did. I'm not a big fan of them, but I got them. And these have a bad reflection on them. So
that's usually why I take mine off when I do calls, because Brian pays for like extra reflective anti something or other, but he pays like $100 for extra anti-reflective something or other, and I only use readers, so like I just don't care. For the most part, like it doesn't matter, but yeah, I take them off when we do this. But on one of your things that you posted and Facebook with your new glasses, somebody actually said it, and I think that's the problem. You don't like them until you get used to them. They're a little bigger than your normal, like your other glasses, like wider, but I think they look good.
Yeah, they're taller.
Mm-hmm.
They're more your shape than they're my shape.
Right. Yeah. So, right. But you say my shape, but they actually look good.
Thank you. I disagree with all of that.
Well, there's no convincing you though. So
no, but I do. And I can see. That's the important part, is being able to see, because going into our topic, right? I couldn't focus on work because I can't see the things around me. So it made focus really hard. And so when you try to do something and you're not fixing the why, then you're just struggling, right?
So, well, and here's the thing though. There's a difference between I know the why and I'm waiting for it to be fixed, right? And not fixing it because like I can see where it will be fixed, right? Our topic today is more about those people that avoid the fix. And it's like, I'm just going to keep going with the symptoms, right? Like, and we'll use medically, right? Using symptoms. If you are always getting headaches, right? 2 to 3 times a week, debilitating, and you have to lay down and take Advil, at some point in time, you need to go to the doctor and find out why. Right?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing in a business, right? And we use you as an example, right? Just simply because I don't have inventory in my job. I mean, it would be great if I had a million coloring books that I have to worry about selling and, doing. People buy coloring books. However, in Brittany's current like part-time outside of BizStorming job, she has inventory. And if that inventory is FUBAR every day and you have to fix it every day, but you don't go back to why, that's just like double the work, right?
Yeah. One of the biggest things really falls into organization of any wise, right? It falls into organization, it falls into systems and training. So if everything's not organized, so if we're looking at inventory, for instance, if you have the same type of a product, so let's say you have 15 different types of pens, right? Writing pens. Some are Bics, some are Jibs, whatever. You have all of those, but you have them all merged together. You don't know how many of each you have because they're all overlapping. But if you have a section of each pen, now you know which type of pen and how many of that specific pen you have. Now, that's your organization. Your training is that your staff should pull the pens and stock the pens so that whatever your back stock is, if you have 0 back stock, you don't need more pens, right? Like then you can order a pen because you need them. You don't have a back stock. Now, we try to make it to where you have very minimal back stock as possible. So you want to make sure that you're ordering as your shelves are emptying. Don't let them get empty, because if your shelves aren't full, you can't sell it, right? And so you've got to train your staff on how to properly move from back stock to the forward stock. But also, when you do get inventory, you have to rotate that to the bottom. Some people are first in, first out, right? Some goods have expiration dates. So you want to make sure you're selling the stuff that's going to expire sooner. And it's really interesting when you look at business in that aspect too. When we talk about our marketing, well, if you have an event on the 22nd, that's what your marketing needs to focus on, because the 22nd is before next month. If you don't have a set standard for your marketing, then everything's going to look different and people don't know it's your business. So Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you know those brands right off the bat because their marketing and their branding is on point. So you have to have a system that displays that.
And I agree. So worldwide, the most well-known logo comes down to 2. Okay. One, and they vie for best or whatever, or most well-known. Number 1 is Coke. Okay. Coke is worldwide. But the other one has nothing to do with food. The most well-known that bucks Coke out of the running every once in a while is the Red Cross. Everybody knows that cross, right? So whether you think it's the Red Cross or you think it's medical or you think it's whatever, it still is very recognizable, right? You know that the Red Cross means help. Okay. But with branding, I get with branding, with inventory, with all of that. But what I really want to focus on is those back to that system, those symptoms, right? Because some of these things no. What about businesses like mine? What about businesses like yours where we actually don't have an inventory? I make jokes about coloring books, but buy them off of Amazon. I really don't want an inventory. You know what I'm saying? So what about companies that don't have inventory? We also have to realize that there's an underlying problem that is also organization and systems and training, right? Now, that doesn't mean that now you have to have 52 spreadsheets and 3 new technological adventures just to, get anything done in your business. No, it means that you have to actually streamline it. You have to go back to the basics. Why are you not getting clients? Why is when you do get clients, why are they not re-signing? You got to, if you just start saying, oh, I'm going to throw more marketing, I'm going to pay for more marketing, you didn't solve the problem. Right? So what are your thoughts on kind of like that?
No, and I think
somebody's watching us. Who's watching us?
Ooh, we talk about this a lot, right? The foundation. If your foundation isn't stable and it's not where it needs to be, then every pillar you tried to build isn't going to stick. So as you're building a pillar of a product, right? So if you're building a service for clients, when you go through that service, like you said, what's the client retention on that? What is how many clients are signing up for it? And then what are the client retention on it? And you have to go through that system of, okay, well, I had my client, they were really strong at the beginning, but then I noticed that they kind of started to tinker off at the end. How do I strengthen my end, right? How do I make this where they want to be there? I personally have a 90-day program, and once my clients run through that 90-day program, they might stick around a little bit longer for 30 minutes afterwards, but they've learned their language, they've learned their things. So it's a strong enough program to where now they can stand on their own 2 feet. And I love that for them, right? But that means for me, I need to focus on new clients because their retention isn't going to.
Right.
I've done what I was supposed to do. I've succeeded in what I was supposed to do. And they're ready to go do this by themselves. Right. And so, but some people have programs like you, Sarah, with HR, or Forrest with financial. Those are great, things where there's always things coming up inside of both of those industries where you want them to come back and hire you again. Hey, we have this issue now, or with financial with Forrest, right? We have this. And so you want to make sure that you're the go-to person.
Sure. And I do want to say in the chat, it is Brittany's mom. Because if it was my mom, then we are working with a Ouija board. So someday we should try that on our live. See if we can get my mom to talk to us. That would be funny.
That would be fun.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know if you believe in Ouija boards. I'm
trying to figure out how we're going to Ouija board from Louisiana and Chicago.
If we both do it at the same time, you know what I mean? It would probably be like extra.
And I'm closer to New Orleans. So
and New Orleans has like, the vibe for this. So
I might have to just transport for a day so we can do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Go to some old cathedral.
But thank you, Michelle, for watching. This is Brittany's mom. Say hi. Okay. So correct, right? Like it is all of those 3 things that you listed apply to any business, right? Because again, I like the word foundation. You need to know who your client is and how to reach them. However, you also have to be willing to pivot. Mm-hmm. Without wanting to quote Friends or something, I can scream pivot, but I won't. It's along the lines of once you try something for 3 to 6 months, and it isn't working, okay, you need to try something different. And I don't mean shake up your business, right? That's not what I mean, right? My business is always going to be HR and leadership. But sometimes you have to be like, well, this marketing tactic we tried for 6 months and it failed very horribly. So now we're going to try something new and different, right? And so that is a symptom, but you figured out the why is because you don't want to change your clientele, and you shouldn't, right? Like that's not, but you're just not reaching them where they are. And so solving that symptom of not getting clients is changing that little bit of marketing and staying with your original, what did we used to call them? Avatars? Wasn't that a thing for a while?
Yeah, your avatar, your client avatar, or your niche. And
yeah, there's a bunch of words for it.
But for the most part, like you're saying, when you decide this is my client, and if you get a few clients, right, ask them what piqued your interest? What part of my marketing really got you to look at this? And I like how you say 3 to 6 months, because you guys, you have to wait. Like you don't know what is working and what isn't working until that cycle. And so when you get through there, you'll be able to look at, okay, well, I have more likes on these type of things. I have more, conversation on this type of stuff. And so you can really analyze that data. And then when you go to fix the symptom, you can say, okay, I'm going to pull these good things that people really liked and really focus on that and make that the new kind of structure. But when you're looking at, okay, my target person is a company who needs, HR support, that's a big, wide variety. So, okay, I need to make sure that I'm talking specifically to people who understand what HR is, right? So now find your audience, find those people. And those are really hard when you ignore them and you just throw pasta at the wall.
Well, and I think that's where you can have a broad audience if you have a niche, right? So the broad audience, sure, for me is anybody who deals with human resources, right? Um, Anybody could use my services. That's great. But on my website and in a lot of my posts and things like that, you'll see exactly what I help with. And when you can push somebody's pain point, right? I'm going to go back to in the nonprofit world, to get donations, you have to make somebody feel an emotion, right? You have to make them, in a sense, you have to make them laugh. You have to make them cry. You have to make them do something to feel connected to that mission. There has to be a heartstring of some sort. But even with a for-profit business, you have to have that button that you push on somebody, right? They have to be like, wow, that's my problem, right? That's me right there. Because most people will not just sit in their house and reflect and come up with the problem they need fixed. No, you have to tell them what their problem is. Right. And you know this with accountability, right? Like one of the things that you help people with is accountability. Most people aren't sitting there like, I need to be held accountable. Nobody does. But when you start giving them reasons, well, you're not doing this, and oh, you're not doing that, and maybe you need some accountability, right? Then they're like, oh, maybe I do, right? And I think that is a key to getting into the right spot is having that broad audience, but knowing how to niche it down and tell people this is the problem we're fixing. This is the emotion I need from you.
Well, and I think we do a good job. We have an open lobby where business owners can communicate together. And so when you can talk to other people about what your problems are, that's very helpful, right? When you stay closed into just your own world and you're not talking to other business owners, that's also one of the biggest things that doesn't help, because now you're just stuck in your mind with what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So finding other people who know what you don't know is very helpful. Getting that community, getting those networks together, that's important.
That is very, very true. And I think it has to be more than networking. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, we could get on that topic at the moment. Networking has become like the bane of my existence.
I can wait for your solution. I'm excited.
Yes, I do have a solution, and I am building some of this out. I have a couple of people that are that have the link and are trying to break it because there are, it's a lot, not moving parts that comes out wrong, but it's a little bit more in depth to build than just opening up a Zoom. Yep. But it's actually pretty interesting, but the where I'm holding it has no bearing. I mean, it does a little bit because I think it's cooler, but that's beside the point. But my problem with networking is how do I say this? I'll just say it. So you have to know, like, and trust somebody before you can work with them. That part I get, but I think that's overused in networking a little bit, because I don't necessarily need to know your pet dog's name from the 3rd grade in order to know, like, and trust you. Right. And I think we go off on tangents like that. And so one of the things that I am changing with networking, and we can then talk about this as a topic, is what you just said, where you talk about not your problems, but your barriers, even the good things that are happening, because you may not have those people in your life that support that. But in the networking sessions, I want it to be business related things instead of, what animal is your spirit animal this week. Let's talk about what was a success that you had this week that you can share with others. In the last month, what is something that you failed at and you want to share with others? And I have probably 30 of these questions so far, and they're a little more intrinsic than those kind of broad-based things. But it's almost about talking in a sense about sharing our our skills, sharing our thoughts, sharing our business ups and downs so other people can learn from it. And I can actually see how you are as a business person. Because I'm telling you right now, from an HR perspective, like in an interview, when somebody says, well, what's your biggest weakness? And somebody's like, oh, I hate filing. Oh, nope, you're not getting hired. Sorry. You need to come up with an actual weakness because I don't respect that. Does that make sense? I respect somebody that actually says a weakness. And I think that comes into these networking things. When the questions are all like frou-frou, are we really getting to know how somebody would be to work with them in a business?
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. I think that's awesome. And, you know, we do that. That's how we kind of do that in accountability too, right? Is we quote unquote trauma bond. Where are we as business owners? And I'm excited to watch everything that you're populating grow, because I think it's going to be something that nobody's seen. And constantly we have that conversation of when you don't find what you need, build it, right? So I'm excited to see that flow and grow with you. I think there's a lot to be said of building what you can't find and creating community around yourself. And that helps you with those symptoms. It helps, and other people can see them and call you out on them.
Sure.
And that's the important part. Hey, Terry, it's good to see you. So that's really an important part of business. And as business owners and entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're by ourselves and it's really hard to call yourself out. Like you can beat yourself down because you're not doing something the way you think it should be done, or, you know, you're just not succeeding in whatever you think. But when you have other business owners around you who can say, hey, but look at the success that you did, or hey, yeah, that's not working, maybe try it this way, or I saw that post and it was a little cringy. Different people get to give you different perspectives and you get to really build from those perspectives. And I think that's a number one get it done kind of situation.
And I think the more time you spend, whether it's in person or online, in communities outside of the people that are just going to tell you you're amazing. Okay, so I am lucky that my partner, he tells me I'm amazing, but he'll also tell me when I did something dumb. Okay, I have him read everything that no, I shouldn't. That's a lie. He does not read every blog. He would go crazy. He reads majority of the things I write before it goes out into the world because I value that opinion. Right. And if he's not here, Brittany's on this call, Terry's on this call, both of them have read something. I'm like, okay, does this sound dumb? Does this look dumb? Right. Because I want to make sure that it doesn't. And having a world that you can actually run those things by people really does help your business. Because I hate to break the news to anybody watching. You are biased when it comes to your business. You think it's amazing. And I'm not saying it isn't amazing. Probably 95% of the time it is. But that other 5%, you need a second party intervention to tell you went off the rails. Right. And so, yeah, just make sure you're open to getting that feedback and you're bringing the people into your life that will give it truly to you.
Yeah. No, I love it.
So.
Mm-hmm. I love it. All right, Sarah. So we talked about kind of those symptoms. We talked about the different ways that you can work on those symptoms. But also, you know, with that foundation of business, if you hold strong to your foundation of the business, your symptoms will be easily rectified, right? Because you're sticking with one congruent solution. You've got a set base, you know where you're going, you know what your standards are. So when you can build that, that's really going to help. And that's going to show you where you're fluctuating, right? And a lot of times it's because you deviated from your original structure. So keep all of those things in mind. And I love what Terry had to say. Constructive feedback helps one business group helps wow, why can't I read? One's business group, if open, to take it to heart and complete the appropriate actions. Love it, Terry.
Well, and I like that with what you were kind of just saying is we all have a foundation for our company, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And sometimes we can see the problem, right? But one of the reasons that Brittany and I exist in our businesses, the reason we did this is because there are so many people out there that are like, there is a problem, but I don't know how to fix it. I don't know my next step. I see that there is a barrier here or a problem every time I do XYZ, but I don't know how to get around it because you know what? Not everyone knows how to get around everything. Okay. And there has to be a place for the Brittany's and I of the world, right? Because that's where we come in to help, right? And, even using Terry is helping people get into a second or a side income in their life, right? That's helping with those barriers because a lot of people don't. Smaller companies like us help with those barriers. We can help them with small or big companies, but having that foundation is what allows you to be like, okay, my foundation is supposed to be straight, but it's not. Now I need help.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a difference. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the big part. And Terry appreciates networking at another level due to both of us. And I think that that's where we work, really well together is making sure that other business owners have that voice. Sure. I think that there's so many, in the new networking that you're coming up with, there's so many networking places where you don't feel seen. And you don't feel like you have an opportunity to actually be who you need to be to connect with the right people. So I'm super excited for all those things to come. But yeah, I'm excited. And we're at 27 minutes, but I am so okay with cutting out.
Why don't you introduce BizStorming?
I am an accountability business coach, and I help business owners who are tornadoes in a bottle. They know all the ideas, they have everything, they just don't know how to break through that glass. So I help them break through that glass and move forward.
Lovely. And my name is Sarah, and I am with Off the Beaten Path Consulting. I'm an HR and leadership consultant. I help small and medium-sized companies build policies and procedures, and I work one-on-one with individuals to build managers into leaders. So it is Wednesday, the 22nd. And you know what? I know we have 28 minutes, but I am going to say something because the most important day of the entire year is happening on Sunday. So if you have watched this far, yes, it is more important than Christmas or Easter or the 250th birthday of the U.S., whatever your best. 26th of April, most important day of the year. What would that be, Brittany?
Is it your birthday?
It is my birthday. Okay. So since we won't have another one of these calls till next Wednesday, I expect all the birthday presents. You can still buy one on Amazon. And even if you live somewhere that has the 2-day delivery, it can still get to me. And I am so joking. But anyways, you guys have a great day. All of that fun stuff. Oh, look, Terry said, yay. That means my birthday present's coming. Woohoo. Right? That's what that means, right? Positive? I don't know. I'm taking it that way. All right, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.
1 2 1 2, need my attitude. 3 4 3 4, check my latitude. I like that.